Chronic hardship and untold suffering continuously hit the people of the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon as the Anglophone crisis continues deepening. Tonight we're going to show you the ugly face of the consequences of the Anglophone crisis that has continued deepening for close to 3 years. Today with our northwest correspondent Stella and the bishop of the Bamenda ecclesiastical province of the Roman Catholic Church decry what has been qualified as terrible disrespect for human life and even the dead as killings, and of course amputation of persons, notably those who are caught in the crossfire between separatist fighters and elements of the national armed forces in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. We begin right away in the crisis-hit northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where hardship and untold suffering continues hitting and of course paralyzing life in that part of the country hit by socio-political and security crisis for close to 3 years today. Our reporter Stella was in Kumbu with elements of the National Armed Forces, notably elements of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, who were bringing some aid to the people in that part of the crisis-hit northwest region of the country.
The division is one of the 7 divisions of the Northwest region badly hit by the crisis rocking the Anglophone regions of the country. Majority of houses found along the roads are deserted. Its occupants have either fled to safer towns and cities or are in the bushes for fear of the unknown, as the sounds of gunshots some have described as deafening are heard on daily basis. Activities of learning institutions, hospitals and other businesses in this area have been grounded due to frequent clashes between pro-independence fighters and the military. In line with the hardship brought on the population of Bui Division, as the crisis deepens, forces of the 3rd Rapid Intervention Battalion with French acronym B recently brought aid consisting of food items, toiletries, clothing among others to orphans at the Bansor Baptist Hospital.
Actuellement dans la zone du sud-ouest, nous on referme les ponts. Même l'équipe a gesté dans la zone pour voir les ponts qui sont cassés, on les remet pour permettre la circulation des hommes et des biens. Donc il ne faudrait pas que les gens pensent que non, c'est pour nous, l'essentiel pour nous, c'est que l'Église est une force spéciale au service de la paix et du développement. Donc nous pouvons travailler qu'avec les populations. Et si les populations souffrent, nous ressentons ce que vous vivez.
The colonel in charge of the 3rd Rapid Intervention Battalion says the B is a specialized force at the service of the population, and the humanitarian gesture is apolitical. The Bansor Baptist Hospital is one of the few institutions still breathing in an area where majority are halting their activities.
Well, the rest are affected very much because we are not able to have patients come, because they find a lot of difficulties to come to the hospitals. And some of the ones who managed to reach it just died reaching the hospital. Hospital beds are essentially speaking empty. Our outpatient department is empty. We have a lot of difficulty managing even the staff we have, because even the staff themselves find it difficult to come to work.
The gifts destined for orphans may not reach them. Unconfirmed reports say the items were reduced to ashes by gunmen shortly after the departure of the defense forces.
And bishops of the Bamenda ecclesiastical province of the Roman Catholic Church decried the Anglophone crisis, describing it as a senseless and suicidal war in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. In a pastoral letter, the Archbishop of the Bamenda ecclesiastical province called for an end to the violence and, of course, the killings, and urged the separate separatist fighters as well as the National Armed Forces, and of course with the instruction of the Yaoundé administration to drop their guns so that we can expect a return to normalcy in the two Anglophone regions of the country. Details in this report by Fomi Armstrong Sanda.
Pastoral letter addressed to all faithfuls and people of goodwill, the Archbishop of Bamenda, His Grace Cornelius Fontemezua, handled among other issues the rampant profanation and disrespect of human life and human dignity in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions. The bishop regretted that violence has become commonplace because of frequent confrontations between the military and those he calls secessionists. Decrying the everyday gunshot in the northwest and southwest regions, the bishop said there is indiscriminate killing of innocent people with rampant immunity in these regions of Cameroon, a place where human life has lost its value and sacredness, and the dignity of human being is being robbed in the mud. The Archbishop also highlighted the destruction of properties, notably hospitals and health facilities, which have been vandalized for reasons he said are hard to explain. Human rights are being violated with impunity in such a way that some wounded persons are denied medical care, taken away from the hospital for summary and extrajudicial execution. The bishop said people are quick to kill those they consider as enemies, burn houses of others, and render them homeless. He also regretted the burning and mutilation of corpses, which he describes as frightening disrespect for the dead. The dumping of corpses on streets and rivers, which is now rampant in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, is unheard of in an African tradition, according to the bishop. On the necessity and urgency to safeguard the sacredness and dignity of human life, they called on individuals, families, groups, Christian communities, and the civil society to vehemently condemn all acts that rob human beings of their lives and dignity. His Grace Cornelius Fontemezua and his auxiliary, Michael Mwabeswe Bibi, ended with an appeal to protagonists to put down their arms and stop what they call senseless fratricidal and suicidal war in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
And Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, met with some international experts in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, and discussions between the officials centered on government's humanitarian plan of action for the northwest and southwest regions of the country, notably for the internally displaced persons, the houses and the villages burnt down. It should be recalled that the government put in place a close to 12 billion francs CFA or 13 billion francs CFA humanitarian aid plan, notably for the IDPs as well as the refugees who are in the hundreds of thousands in neighboring Nigeria. EQUINOXE has more.
Depuis 2017, des Camerounais irresponsables et antipatriotiques.
Territorial Administration Minister Paula Tanganji once more baptizes leaders of the secessionist movement, this time around as irresponsible and anti-patriotic Cameroonians who have invoked havoc in the two English-speaking regions, which has brought enormous suffering on citizens in rural areas who are now internally displaced and others seeking refuge in Nigeria.
Et parfois au Nigeria voisin.
This was during a meeting grouping foreign diplomats and international partners of the Special Emergency Plan initiated by President Paul Biya to assist the victims of the prolonged Anglophone crisis. Minister Paula Tanganji also revealed that over 75,000 families have already benefited from the Special Emergency Humanitarian Action Plan of the head of state.
Le premier rapport de cette activité est mis à la disposition du public à partir de ce jour.
He notes the operation has been effective since its institution.
For better ground supervision of this aid to the population, the Prime Minister of Government created, upon high instructions of the head of state, the Emergency Coordination Center for Humanitarian Assistance in relation to the situation in the northwest and southwest region.
A coordination center, he says, is properly coordinated by President Paul Biya.
I urge all stakeholders to make this platform a useful tool to highlight the challenges and needs and measures advocated in each sector so that the situation can be addressed comprehensively.
The come together of the various partners, according to the Minister of Territorial Administration, will enable them to determine a code of conduct for a smooth deployment and good humanitarian action in the field.
For this purpose, the various international partners involved in the management of the emergency plan are called upon to make available and technical assistance and give us information on those who are to represent them on the field.
Every agency is expected to fully mobilize to reach the greatest number of victims of the Anglophone armed conflict.
At the end of that meeting, we caught up with the United Nations resident coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Maria del Pilar Bauchi, and this is what she had to say.
We also had the UN agencies that are engaged in humanitarian action, as well as some of the diplomats who are also our donors. As you know, we are already engaged on the ground. We have several agencies, as is the government, with the plan of humanitarian action. We've always said that the primary responsibility for the protection of populations is with the government, so our action has to come in complementarity, but also in coordination. So that was what we talked about today. How can we improve the sharing of information? How can we work better together and really coordinate our action to avoid duplication, but also to be the most efficient possible in our common goal, which is to help the people who are suffering. We are fully aware of how many people are suffering on so many different needs, whether it's health, education, protection, violence, and I think the commitment is there to try and reach as many people as possible, and for that we need to have strong coordination on the ground.
That was the United Nations resident coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Maria del Pilar Bauchi, speaking there shortly after the meeting between some diplomats and international partners and the Minister of Territorial Administration at Tanganji Paul in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Now back here to the economic capital, Douala. Heavy downpour has killed one person, notably in the Douala 4 municipality, and the victim was caught up in the rains and of course the heavy storm that accompanied the heavy downpour here in the economic capital Douala last night. Details in this report by Smanjikan Gebre.
It was a sad Friday for the family of Hale after the heavy downpour that visited Cameroon's economic capital Thursday night, breaking Friday. The heavy downpour the inhabitants of Carrefour Enzo blamed caused the death of one of theirs. The strong breeze that accompanied the rains caused the rotting electricity poles fell on Trésorienne, who was rushing back home.
The incident happened at 1 a.m. night. This pole that we are seeing like this, all the poles are rotten. The O is not taking care of it. We are living with a bad road, bad poles. We don't know where the country is taking us to. This is my junior brother that I just lost out of negligence. That I don't know how I can do all these things. I don't even know, because the way I'm talking with pains in my heart, because I don't know where are we going into this country with all these things that is happening, injustice that they are not looking into. They say these people are the one taking care of this. They are not there. Since that 1 a.m. that they are calling NAO to come and even secure it for avoid more dirt, and nobody is have come till now.
The situation of the poles that have been causing sleepless nights to the inhabitants of Carrefour Enzo, reports say on several occasions authorities of the electricity company have been informed, but changes were not made.
We don't know whether they are existing or not. They are existing in this country or not. There are some people that are taking care of these poles that we are suffering of them today. We are suffering roads, we are suffering poles, we are suffering water. We don't have water, we don't have poles, we don't have anything. Government to look about all this. Government to look about all this.
The inhabitants of Carrefour Enzo transported the body of Trésorier Hale to the Bonasama mortuary. He will be mourned by his wife, who is 2 months due to put to bed, and his kids.
While flames have consumed several stores in one of the main markets in Fumban in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon, the inferno has been attributed to poor electrical connections. Once more, Smanjikan Gebre has more.
There were 5 stores which were visited by flames at the Marché B in Fumban of the West region in Cameroon. Reports say all stores that were affected were into selling food and drinks. According to this lady who was a victim of the incident, it was at about 11 p.m. when I was informed about the fire. Upon my arrival at the market, I called for help, and some of the things I got were removed, while some crates were stolen by those who came to help remove the things.
Quand on retirait les casiers, les gens qui portaient, d'autres ramassaient et partirent avec.
Informed about the incident, the divisional officer for Funban descended to the scene to make a first-hand evaluation of the fire incident.
We are here after a fire incident that occurred in this market with a lot of material damage. So we are here to tell the victims of this fire incident that the powers that be are with them, and that due consideration will be given to their plight at the right time. If hierarchies so wishes, they might be assisted.
The divisional officer left this advice to the traders.
That they themselves said we should take the necessary measures to secure their various investments before the state can assist them. They can also organize themselves in a mutual assistance association, such that when something like this happens, they can have something with which to begin their lives before eventually the state grants them some assistance. It's also important that in a not too distant future, a fire brigade will be created here in Fumban. I think hierarchy has been taking the necessary measures for that to happen.
Even though the immediate cause of the incident is yet to be identified, fingers are pointing at the poor connection of electricity in the market.
1 year after the last senatorial elections and 5 months after the October 2017 presidential election in the Republic of Cameroon, the election organizing body Elections Cameroon acknowledges its flaws during the organization of those elections. Speaking during the first ordinary session of Elections Cameroon in Yaoundé for this year, the president of Elections Cameroon, Eno Abrams Egwe, highlighted poor functioning of the electoral kits, low participation rate of voters, the issue concerning the vote of internally displaced persons, timid implication of political parties, insufficient education of citizens, notably on democracy and electoral procedures, and of course election malpractices are some of the issues that marred the last senatorial and presidential elections in the Republic of Cameroon. Elections Cameroon, however, promised to do better in upcoming municipal, legislative, and perhaps regional elections expected this year in Cameroon. After 27 years at the helm of the National Assembly of the Republic of Cameroon, Honorable Kavaye Jibril maintains his seat as House Speaker. And of course, that was yesterday. He was elected or voted with 118 votes out of 138, and he came to that position. That was in 1992, and since then he has been House Speaker of Cameroon's, the Speaker of Cameroon's lower house of Parliament. An opposition member comes into the rank of Vice Presidents of Cameroon's lower house of Parliament. Honorable Joseph Mbandam of the Social Democratic Front is one of the 5 vice presidents, and the first vice president remains Honorable Hilarion Eton. And of course, at the level of the Senate, Marcel Nyat-Njifenji maintains his position as president of Cameroon's upper house of Parliament. He was, of course, elected yesterday alongside other officials of the Bureau of the upper house of Cameroon's Parliament. And among the vice presidents is opposition senator from the Social Democratic Front, Keze Emilia, who is one of the vice presidents. Now take a listen to Keze Emilia, who spoke to us in Yaoundé.
I think that an election means that somebody is given confidence by a people, a group of people. And if the House unanimously voted me as vice president for the 2nd year, they surely have seen some ethics in me that I can use to lead the people. So I think that it's a good thing. I don't only promise that I'll give all my best, I promise to continue to give my best, because I've been giving my best in the past 1 year. I think even you, Equinox, you can be a witness to that. So, you see, a senator is somebody who amends or corrects or proposes or rejects a law. A senator does not make laws. So what the population expects from us is that when the laws come to us, we'll either correct them or amend them, or we reject them or accept them. That's what they should expect from us.
The Director General of the National Employment Fund says one of the major causes of the rising youth unemployment in the Republic of Cameroon is at the level of training offered in higher institutions of learning across the country. And speaking to us after his institution signed an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce here in Douala yesterday, he said the young people who are trained do not have the skills required by enterprises in the country. That is, of course, indicating the wide gap that exists between the training offered in higher institutions of learning and exigencies of the job market. And the two institutions, the National Employment Fund and the Chamber of Commerce, are now uniting their strength and expertise to kind of cap this problem. Details in this report by Immaculate Fogwe.
Youth unemployment rate in Cameroon still remains a major problem faced by the economy. Some factors contributing to its latest escalation is that of the low quality of training given to the youths.
Coming to the problem of training, the training is really one of the principal problems, because the young people, many of young people, I can say that 70% in our database, 70% of the young people doesn't have the competence, the skills. They don't have the skill corresponding to the profile offers by the enterprises. That is also the problem. And all those problems may be, the strategies, policies, and orders.
In a bid of curbing the high unemployment rate in the country, a partnership program has been signed by the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training and the Ministry of Commerce.
Today we just formalized our partnership in the area of entrepreneurship. That means, that in the impulsion of the president, the dynamic of the president of the chamber.
That's it for this edition of the news on Equinox Television. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.